Welcome back to Beyond the Wrench. My name is Jay Ganinin, and today I am not your host. This is a different type of episode where my co-founder, Mark, had a conversation with one of our clients, John Frazier from Woody Anderson Ford. Many of you probably know John as he's very active on LinkedIn and does a lot for technicians. The conversation was to learn more about a new technician pay plan that their dealership just announced, and Mark wanted to learn not just what is included in the plan, but also how John was able to get a change like that approved by the company's ownership group. We've posted similar content in the past of real-life stories where managers share how they made changes in their organizations. One classic example is what we've done with our friends at VIP Tires and Service. Anyway, we usually get really good feedback from our audience that they like this type of real-world example episode, so we decided to share parts of the conversation as a podcast episode. It's much shorter than our normal episodes, but we thought it was worth sharing. Let us know if you'd like to see more examples of this and what your feedback is in general. Thank you so much for listening.
Well, I'm here with John Frazier from Woody Anderson Ford in Huntsville, Alabama. John, I just wanted to I love a lot of what you do. I follow you on LinkedIn. You know, our whole purpose of WrenchWay, our mission is to promote and improve technician careers. I think there's few people that do that better than you. So I've been wanting for a long time to get a chance to talk to you. So thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, certainly. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So first, let's start with kind of just a little background about yourself and how you ended up where you're at.
Oh man, it's a long story. I was son of an automotive technician, so it's been in my blood to some degree for years. I was going through college, selling vacuum cleaners door to door, and my dad was at a Hyundai store, and they had an opening for a service advisor. So that's where I started back in 2006. Did that for several years. And in 2012, 2013, began my career in management. So, lots of shirts and hats and scars and tears and blood shared in the years to come. And that's led me to here as a service director here at Woody Anderson Ford. Primarily have been with Mopar for years. So this is my first time at a Ford dealership. And so yeah, that's how I got into the business and what's led me to here.
Nice. And yeah, I mentioned in the opening, you're pretty active on LinkedIn. I see a lot of stuff you post, some conversations you get into, whether it's specific to LinkedIn or, you know, our mission at WrenchWay of promoting and improving technician careers. It seems like you're a huge advocate for that. I don't know if you kind of want to comment on the need for more people to do that, or why you got so passionate about that, or what kind of drives you with that type of stuff.
Yeah, probably one of the biggest struggles as a service director that I've had through the years is finding the right talent. And two of the most critical roles that we need this help in is with our service advisors and our technicians. But at the core of it all, the dealership model, it just doesn't work without a technician. Customers simply will not buy a car at a place that they can't get it serviced at. As the saying goes, service sells the next car. And that's very true in this business. And my passion started many years back. I would say in 2014, 2015, I was at a dealer where I just sort of hit this wall and was struggling getting technicians. And I find myself interacting a lot with technicians, both online and in person. Of course, my guys at work, and I started listening to them, and I things they began to say reminded me of times where my dad was frustrated with work. He was a great technician. He was an ASE world-class master technician, and not just on paper. I never saw a car that the guy couldn't fix.
Nice.
And beyond that, he took a lot of pride in what he did. I remember we were always a one car family. I remember going to pick him up from work, and I'd always see him, put his lift up, sweep the floor, make a new mop bucket, clean his space. Although, his name wasn't on the building, he treated his stalls and he treated his tools. He treated everything as if, the customers are here watching me work on their car. He took a lot of pride in it. And I think ultimately some of the frustrations he faced that were just by nature of the industry led him to not get out of it what he put into it. And I believe the industry as a whole, for a long time, we've been hearing about technician shortage for a long time, and the scope generationally, the future has changed in that there's not a lot of young guys and gals coming into this field like we had back 20, 30 years ago. So these guys that were champions of the shop, if you will, of being technicians, that they're dying out, and we don't have enough people to replace them. And I think part of it is the way that the industry has looked at this role. Um, if you look at all the roles and the employees that are in a dealership, there's no other employee that shows up on day one with a tow truck and a toolbox.
Right.
And in my opinion, and watching my dad and the money he spent all throughout the years, and the training that he put himself through, there's two things that a technician possesses that nobody else does. That's the skills and the knowledge that they have, and the investment of their time to gain that knowledge, and the investment of their money to buy these tools to invest in their career. And those two things alone require some very specific and unique recognition, I believe. And it's okay to recognize them in a special way, as opposed to any other employee, in my opinion. And that's what's driven us to this conversation today, and to our compensation package that we recently put together here.
Yeah, no, I love a lot of what you said there. I could dive into a lot. We'll spare you that. But I do think it transitions perfectly into that compensation plan you did put together. It's funny how you started that off by talking about how you talked to the technician, such a basic thing that so many people forget about. People around WrenchWay hear me all the time say the 6 most dangerous words in business, or that's how we've always done it. And I think too many of us get in those habits. So I'm glad to hear what you guys are doing, how you are making changes. That's why I reached out and wanted to record this. So talk to me about the plan you put together, both from a aspect of what it is. So if I was a technician, what you have to offer now, but then two, I'm curious of what led to the changes, talking to the techs, how have they received it? I know it just got announced.
Yeah.
I'll probably ask you for some follow-ups, but management or owners at your location, was it hard to get them to change it? Just kind of go with it where you want there, and I'll probably ask some follow-ups.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, so I mean, initially it started with a lot of discovery and just listening to the guys. When you're the new sheriff in town, you're the new manager. There's good and bad that come along with that. People are often uncertain of what changes is this guy going to bring in play. But there's a tendency for them to be rather open and honest with the new guy. I've got a new set of ears. I've got a new person here that may hopefully listen to some of the things I have to say. And so my time here at Woody Anderson started with observation, discovery, just even down to one-on-ones. When I got here, we had 58 technicians on staff, and I carved out some time to meet with each and every one of them, not to know them more than just a technician. What's your wife's name? How many kids you got? What do you guys like doing for fun? Tell me about your time here at Woody Anderson. Tell me about your time as a technician. And many of them, without them knowing, were giving me some ammunition to put together a proposal where we could recognize them very specifically and very uniquely for what they do. And my take on a great pay plan, for any employee, not just technicians, but since we're talking about technicians in specific, is to personalize it. You gotta look beyond who they are as an employee, who they are as just hours in production. How can you tie in what they do day in and day out of busting their knuckles and breaking their backs? How can you tie in that to their family? Many of these guys, many of our technicians in the industry live check to check. They rely on the money that they make from the hours that they flag, and they work a lot of long hours um, to pave the way for their family and provide financially. And as a business, if we can pay them very well for all of those things, and then give them some ways that they can enjoy financially beyond their time here at work. When they go on vacation or quarterly, sharing some of the success with them at Christmas, even sharing some of that success with them. That was really the motivation behind this, and that's where I zeroed in on what has been some of your frustration through the years, um, and I essentially formed that into this pay plan that we have here today. And so that's kind of how I came to it.
Yeah, was there any resistance from other members of upper management at your location to, I'm assuming it's costing the company more, but in the long run,
Sure.
it'll save because the production, I'm sure, will go up. But what was there any resistance that you felt?
Initially, it was so drastic and night and day change from what we were doing to what it is. Not really resistance. There was some discomfort, I believe, and that's expected. What I'm thankful for is there was a lot of open conversation and communication about it. And everyone acknowledged we needed to do something. And in the beginning stages of planning this, this went through a meeting of having all of our leadership involved, from our dealer to our general manager, our COO, fixed ops director, my service manager, our dispatch. There was a lot of people that were involved in this to ensure that we all felt great about it. We were all on the same page about it. And that when we did implement it, our technicians as a whole saw that it was coming from us on a unified front. This is not just one guy's idea and we're going to do it because we think it's a great idea. This is what we've been talking about, and we want to offer you all this opportunity on a unified front. This is all of our idea, and we think it's great, and here's why. So it was no resistance, but it took a while to get it together and get it to the point that we are, because it is expensive. This, in all, with our current staff and current production, we did some analysis, some cost analysis. Going in, this is nearly a $200,000 investment for us back into our technicians. And we all believe wholeheartedly it's a worthwhile investment.
Yeah, definitely. It's only been about a week, I think, since you announced it. How's the reaction been so far from the team? I'm assuming everyone's pretty pumped about it and energized.
Yeah, we've got some good response out of it. Some of our guys, listen, technicians are not always the most animated and emotional guys. They express their appreciation and their excitement about things, sometimes in different ways. But I can tell you, in the one-on-ones, we met with each technician specifically so that they understood the structure of it. I'll back up a little bit. Prior to implementing this, our previous pay plan was a rather fragmented, complex career path that rewarded technicians in very little increments as they got certifications. Not that it was bad. It was just like, you got to start here, and then you got to do. You got to go down this list to get to where you want to go. With this, we wanted to simplify the career path. Hey, listen, here's what you are when you come in as an entry level tech. You're an hourly tech. We're going to pay you this, and then when you get through your training and you get comfortable to be a flat rate tech, then that's where you become a C technician, and then a B technician, then an A technician. So as we met with some of our guys, it was kind of fun because many of our technicians, based on how we reconfigured the pay plan, got a pay raise. And so it's always exciting to say, hey, by the way, we've changed our pay plans. And the good news is, right out of the gates, you're making $1 more, $2 more, $6 more per hour for what you do here. And I'm going to share some things with you quarterly and at Christmas that'll be specific to you and your effort you put in. Man, I think the response was great. We launched it very well. The dealer, we met with all of the technicians as a group, all of leadership, and the dealer. She, Miss Anderson, she sort of introed it to everyone, and then we started our one-on-ones, and we were very sensitive to we didn't put it out there until we met with every technician. We didn't want them to find out about it secondhand.
Yeah, that's so important. Yeah.
Yeah, we felt that we owed them the respect for them to know it internally. And man, it was great. It was fun. It really was.
Is your shop looking to fill open positions or grow your bench of candidates? Consider adding WrenchWay to your recruiting efforts. WrenchWay helps shops and dealerships all across the U.S. find better qualified candidates for their service centers. WrenchWay Top Shop memberships are only $150 per month and include unlimited job postings on the best job board in the industry, a guarantee of 10 qualified applicants, and the shops choose who is considered qualified, access to connect with and help over 650 high schools and post-secondary schools, and much more. Learn more about WrenchWay's Top Shop memberships by visiting wrenchway.com and selecting the For Shops tab under the Solutions dropdown. Link is in the show notes.
Anytime there's change, there can be nervousness or negatives too. Was there any of that? I'm sure there's a little, and you can talk through it one-on-one with people, but was there much of that, or was it just such an obvious improvement that everyone just saw the benefits and didn't worry as much about the nervousness of change?
Yeah, change is one of those curse words of the car industry, and in anything really, when change happens, it's are you more comfortable with the evil you know and the evil you don't know? You just don't know what's going to happen. And specifically in our industry with pay plans, they're normally met with there's normally a negative connotation behind it, like, all right, the play changing a pay plan because the dealer needs a couple of more yachts in his fleet, so we that's normally the idea behind it. But with this one, I don't think at any of our meetings we had any sort of negative interpretation of it, because of the way that we structured it. Nobody went backwards, and many people took a step forward in their pay, but everybody got an opportunity to show up and show out. And the way that we actually have it on the technician's pay plan, it's laid out in such a way is like, hey, you're here, and when you do X, Y, Z, this is what you get paid to do it. And if you fall short on X, Y, and Z, it's okay. You don't get disqualified from all incentives or benefits. If you fall short, then you get these. You're gonna have an opportunity to qualify for something. So everybody gets to play and everybody gets to win on it. It's not a you get it or you don't. Everybody gets something.
Nice.
But yeah, it was great. There wasn't any negative interpretation about it.
That's great. When we share this, we will link to your WrenchWay page, and you can describe it there, so people listening can check that out and of course apply. But given that, and you mentioned a few of the bullet points, are there any specifics you want to mention about the plan to kind of drive people to see more of the details on your WrenchWay page? Any high level things that you want to? I mean, the floor is yours. Sell yourself. If I was a tech, what's the highlights you want to sell me on?
Yeah, the highlights here, I believe, are being recognized for what you contribute to the dealership. Without the hours that are being manufactured by the work that a technician is doing, the place just doesn't work. We talk about fixed absorption, we talk about gross profit, and all those things stem from hours that are being produced. And so the first thing that we want to do, the biggest component of it, is making sure we wanted to figure out, based on the math of our door rate and our effective labor rate, how could we get as close to, if not even higher than 33% of our effective labor rate that we want to pay to a tech. We're okay paying that to a tech. And then from there, what incentives above and beyond that rate that we want to pay to a tech that we're okay with? how do we want to recognize the technician? And in this way, like for our top level A technicians, these guys are, man, they're our most productive technicians. They're also our highest certified technicians. They're a master technician or senior master technician. Um, how can we compensate them in a way that um, they see the fruit of their labor financially, but they can enjoy some of it when it comes up for time off or bonuses and things. Vacation time, that's a standard benefit that we already had in place. But we wanted to say to our these highly trained technicians and productive technicians, listen, we see you, we see that you work hard. So when you take your family on vacation, we're going to give you $1,000 to spend when you're on vacation,
Oh,
above
nice.
and beyond your pay. Yeah. We're also going to look at every hour that you turn every quarter, and I'm going to recognize you for your loyalty to our company, and I'm going to give you $2 for every one of those hours that you turn. You know, some of these guys in that category, man, they're 250 hour a month, technicians. So if you give them $2 for that every quarter, that's a nice little quarterly share with those guys that they're getting to reap the benefits of what they're doing for the company. We also have a Christmas bonus in place. This is new for our technicians here. This was one of those sore spots. Our technicians here didn't have a Christmas bonus structure set up prior to this. So rather than giving everybody, $250, no matter how much effort you put in, we're going to let these technicians write their own check with that and pay them a dollar per hour for the previous 12 months,
Nice.
the previous December through November. And push in, push out pay. That's one that's kind of new for a lot of folks. We in a perfect world, we want a technician to every bay, and all of our guys get at least 2 bays. But if they got one down that's going to be down for a while, it's more cost effective for me to push that car out, get another one in, and begin diagnosing on the next ones till the parts come in. So we have two categories. If it's a major teardown like a cab off, I'm going to pay that technician 2 hours to somewhat put it back together, push it out, and push it back in. If it's minor sort of tear down, I'm going to pay him an hour to get it out and back in, just so he's compensated for his time so he can continue to move through the other vehicles. And lastly, we know that warranty times are an issue, and many of our highly trained, highly skilled, highly productive techs deal with a lot of warranty work. So at the end of the month, I'm going to take a peek at how many hours they turned in warranty, and I'm going to bonus them every month on their warranty time and give them 25% back on the warranty time. So, man, a lot of great incentives. Aside from that, we're going to buy up to $250. We're going to buy work boots for everyone because we know these guys are on their feet all day long. Work boots are expensive, and it's kind of a part of the uniform. So we want to accommodate our technicians there. We've got a lot of space here as far as our shop goes. Remember, we've got 84 bays. We're about to begin construction on a 27 bay Ford Pro Elite shop that's going to be brand new on site. Great insurance rates. The paid training, paid vacation is at an average of what you make. So a lot of good benefits here. We've got a lot of room, and I'm coming in here following a time in this shop's history where we're not keeping up with the demand of Huntsville, Alabama. I mean, there's 16 people moving here a day. That's the rate in which this place is growing. We're the largest Ford dealer in in the area in North Alabama. So on any given day, if with the staff, I could push 120 to 130 cars through the service drive a day. So a lot of volume, a lot of heavy duty traffic. Huntsville is a great place. And now with this bonus structure on our pay plan, it's a good time to be a technician here. It really is.
Yeah, not just the pay plan, but I mean, working with and for someone like you, and it sounds like you go to bat for your guys and put change or those changes. And one of the things that of this industry that frustrates me the most is you get on forums, things like that, and people like right now, WrenchWay's doing a pay survey, and a lot of the responses are just, well, until they learn how to pay or change flat rate or do this or do that.
Yeah.
And the comments are valid in some cases, but a lot of times it's like, you know what? A lot of dealers and independent shops have made those changes. The exact stuff you're complaining about, here's 10 of them that maybe not to your level. I mean, I think that's even better than a lot of the ones we see, but there just are a lot of good places out there. But
Yeah.
sometimes, like, we're so burned from the past and being treated unfairly for so long that we need to get technicians giving places a chance that do listen and have made these changes. And that's why we're here today and why we want to promote it. But I think what you guys are doing is amazing out there. And I hope more follow suit. I mean, there's enough business for everyone and we need to improve the industry. And I thank you for sharing the story for sure. It's definitely awesome what you guys are doing.
Certainly, certainly. And for us, we want our technicians, one of the last benefits of our comp plan, we want our technicians to be a billboard for us. Your technicians should be your best recruiting tool. Although we like WrenchWay, we do like WrenchWay, but your technicians should advertise for you. And so, like, we want them to get pumped about working with their friends, working with people that they've networked with through the years, maybe at class. So like for our A technicians, if I get a guy that brings me an A technician master, senior master guy, I'm going to pay him $5,000 to do that. I want him to be interested in the success of that person that they're bringing on. And if he sticks his neck out there and all that works out, I'm paying the guy $5,000. And so that's a way here too for our guys to advocate for us, and to reward them for growing our business, growing our team. I would urge dealers to look very close at how they structure their business and how they reward and recognize. I think all employees in the automotive industry are due recognition. There's a time when it's all due. There's a time and place for it. But I would urge dealers to consider, and I've seen this through the years, just as an example, when you take a guy who's fresh in the sales department and he's selling cars, and we're at a day and time where you almost don't have to sell a car anymore. You got to put people into it. You got to paint a picture. It's about features. It's about benefits. Many of our guests come in knowing more about the car than sometimes the salespeople do. But I've seen many times through the years where we recognize salespeople because we sold a bunch of cars, we made a bunch of gross. Look at this as employee of the month, and then before you look up, the salesperson's gone. Meanwhile, you've got a guy in the back that can bust an engine down and take a body off a vehicle in a million pieces, put it back together, fix it right the first time, and has quite the investment financially and the investment of time, and the impact that it takes on his mental well-being and his health, his physical well-being. How are we recognizing those guys? If it's anything less than what we may do for a salesperson that just sold a bunch of cars for a month, not belittling that.
Right.
If it's anything less, we may need to reevaluate our comp plans. We may need to look at how we run our business, because the next car that salesperson sells could be because that technician did a great job at getting the vehicle fixed.
That's exactly true. Yeah, I was going to ask, my last question was going to be advice for other dealers, but you kind of covered that. And I think we covered it throughout. I'll make a couple of comments on a few things you mentioned there. So you said technicians being your best recruiters, and I thank you for the WrenchWay comment as well. But there's some overlap there too. That's what we try to get our clients to do, is get their people talking. A video is great like we're doing here, but even if they're not on video, like, give them to a written testimonial or encourage them to share a video that you do on their own social media. We always use the phrase document, don't create. You don't have to get fancy with all these marketing tools. Just, if you're a good place to work, just document what you do. Tell the story of why you made exactly what we're doing here. It's the best type of recruiting you can have, especially if you mix that in with it coming from your existing technicians. So I love that. And then the second point, you mentioned how a lot of consumers come in and they already know what they want when they're purchasing a vehicle. That's how I think recruiting should be, or employer branding. I mean, if you put good stuff out there, and are willing to be transparent, they're going to come in and like
Yeah.
they already know you made all these changes and you treat people well and you recognize them, like you said, and you give these bonuses. And I just wish more people would look at it like you do. And again, I keep saying it, but that's why I was excited to have this video today and to create something out of this. So thank you for everything you're doing. We want to share your story, not just to help you get technicians for your shop, but to help, support the industry as a whole. So definitely, I hope others look to you as an example for it. You're doing things the right way. That's for sure.
I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you.
Yeah. Any last comments or shout outs or places you want people to check you out? Of course, you have your WrenchWay page, and we'll point them to that. But any other comments you want to add?
No, check out our WrenchWay page. A lot of great things going on here. A lot of stuff that we post there on how we do business day in and day out, and some fun things we do with our team. Check out my LinkedIn, subscribe there, and keep up with a lot of exciting things I post there. And any questions, any insight anybody wants on how do you go from point A to point B and creating a pay plan and implementing it, executing it, feel free to reach out. And I'm sure we'll put my contact info in here as well.
That wraps up this week's episode of Beyond the Wrench. Be sure to tune in next week for another brand new episode. As a reminder, don't forget to rate and follow Beyond the Wrench on Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. This helps us get Beyond the Wrench in front of other fantastic shop owners, managers, technicians, and dealers just like you, so we can continue to help improve, promote, and grow this amazing industry. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll be back next week.